Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me today because we're going to uncover the hidden history behind a landscape that millions of us see and experience every single day. You know, we often look at these massive, sprawling cities and just kind of assume they grew organically, right? Like a force of nature. But the truth is, cities are built by people. They're built by visionaries. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story we found in our source material about a man whose singular vision shaped one of the most famous urban landscapes in the entire world. Get ready to look at the city in a completely different way.
Think about Tokyo for a second. Specifically, Shibuya. It's a place totally defined by its sheer density. Millions of people crossing intersections, endless streams of commerce, youth culture, just towering buildings everywhere. And threading through all of this, you've got the sprawling Tokyo rail lines stretching out into the southwest of Tokyo. Along these lines, you find vibrant residential neighborhoods, top-tier schools, commercial hubs, hotels. It's a perfectly integrated urban ecosystem. Now, for most of us, this is just a taken-for-granted modern reality. We swipe our transit cards and, honestly, we don't give it a second thought.
But what if I told you that this massive, hyper-modern metropolis was fundamentally shaped by the imagination of a young boy who grew up in a tiny, impoverished mountain village? It sounds like a movie plot, but it's entirely true. The normal, everyday landscape of southwest Tokyo can be traced right back to the sheer willpower of one individual, Keita Goto. Okay, let's dive right into this with Part 1, the origins of modern Tokyo. To truly understand this modern city, we actually have to travel back in time, far away from the neon lights of Shibuya to the harsh realities of rural Japan in the late 19th century. So the year is 1882. We're in Aoki Village, tucked away in the mountains of Nagano Prefecture. Japan is just beginning its rapid path to modernization, but out here in the rural farming communities, life is still deeply tied to the rhythms of nature and really just sheer physical survival. It's here that a boy named Keita is born. As the second son of a poor farmer, his future seemed entirely predetermined by agriculture. But Keita was different. He possessed this profound, almost insatiable hunger for learning. He desperately wanted to understand the world beyond the mountains that boxed in his village.
24. That is a staggering number. It represents 24 kilometers. That is the distance Keita walked, round trip, every single day just to attend middle school. I mean, just imagine that for a moment. In today's world, that's not a commute. That is an extreme endurance event, and he did it daily. There was absolutely no guarantee that this education would lead to wealth or success, but his drive to learn was so powerful that he willingly crossed those physical boundaries, spending hours on foot, day in and day out.
Which brings us to Part 2, a 38-year-old's challenge.
Those grueling 24-kilometer childhood walks did a lot more than just get him to a classroom. They forged an ironclad resilience that prepared him for a highly non-traditional path to success. Because Keita Goto was what we might call a late bloomer. To fund his own education, he actually had to work for years as a substitute elementary teacher and an English teacher. Since he was completely self-funded and working full-time, he didn't even graduate from the prestigious Tokyo Imperial University until he was 29 years old. Eventually, though, he secured a highly coveted, super stable job as a bureaucrat in the railway ministry, and it was here he gained a bird's-eye view of how railways could fundamentally change the flow of people and the value of land. But then, at age 38, he made a decision that pretty much shocked everyone.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer magnitude of the risk he took. On one hand, you have his position in the government bureaucracy, safe, secure, highly respected. On the other, you have where he went at age 38, the Musashi Electric Railway. Now, this wasn't some booming tech startup of the 1920s. This was a struggling private company with big plans to lay tracks, but absolutely zero funds to actually pull it off. He didn't inherit a successful business. He stepped right into a near impossible situation where he had to build the whole shebang from scratch.
Let's move on to Part 3. Building towns, not railways.
So how exactly did he turn a struggling rail company into a massive empire? Well, he completely changed the paradigm of what a railway company was actually supposed to do. A lot of this shift was inspired by another legendary industrialist of the era, Ichizo Kobayashi, who was developing similar concepts over in the Kansai region. For Goto, the railway was never the end goal. It was merely the tool. It's like a giant puzzle. Step 1, lay the tracks into empty, undeveloped land. Step 2, build high-quality housing along those lines.
Step 3, actively invite schools and universities to relocate to these new areas. And finally, Step 4, create commercial facilities and entertainment hubs for those residents. He wasn't just in the transportation business anymore. He was in the community building business.
And this brilliant cyclical urban planning strategy worked perfectly. Think about it. People move into the new housing. Because the schools are there, students commute daily on the trains to learn. And because the people are there, commerce thrives. The town and the railway grow together in this mutually beneficial loop. This wasn't just a clever business model, this was the literal design of Southwest Tokyo. Every single time you see a major train station seamlessly connected to a department store, surrounded by residential zoning and universities, you are quite literally looking at Keita Goto's blueprint brought to life.
That brings us to part 4, Robert Keita and education.
As his empire rapidly expanded, Keita Goto developed a pretty complex dual reputation in the public eye. On one hand, he earned a fierce nickname, Robber Keita. During the pre-war and wartime periods, Goto was relentless. He utilized aggressive mergers and acquisitions, just buying up and consolidating competing railway companies to form a massive private network known as the Great Tokyo. His ruthless, uncompromising business tactics drew heavy criticism and definitely earned him that tough moniker. But surprisingly, this same ruthless corporate raider was also a deeply passionate educator who poured vast amounts of his resources into investing in youth and building schools.
The key to understanding this apparent contradiction lies in his core personal philosophy, which is perfectly encapsulated in this phrase, heat and sincerity. For Goto, you couldn't succeed with just one or the other. Heat represented that forceful, aggressive, totally unyielding will to push through obstacles and get things done. That's the energy that drove his M&A strategy. Sincerity, on the other hand, was an earnest, heartfelt dedication to people and to the future. He firmly believed that to truly change the world, you needed the ruthless heat to build the infrastructure and the deep sincerity to ensure it actually served humanity.
And this brilliantly illustrates how his commitment to that sincerity became a physical reality. In 1955, he established the Goto Ikueikai, a major educational foundation, and became its first chairman. The young boy who once had to walk 24 kilometers just to sit in a middle school classroom had used his immense corporate power to ensure that future generations would have schools built right into the heart of their own communities. He never, ever forgot how hard it was to get an education, and he spent his later years making sure it was accessible to thousands of others.
Finally, part 5, from Aoki to Tokyo. This brings our narrative loop right back to where it all started. You see, the story of Keita Goto is the story of connecting a bustling modern metropolis back to a quiet mountain village. Even after achieving unimaginable success in Tokyo, Goto maintained a lifelong connection to his hometown. In 2020, Aoki Village opened the Keita Goto Future Creation Hall. And what I absolutely love about this is the name. It's not called a memorial museum. No, it's a Future Creation Hall. It isn't just some dusty room full of artifacts. It's an active center designed to inspire current and future generations to think about what they can build next, using his life as the ultimate case study in resilience and imagination.
So, what does this all mean for us today? Well, his small village roots didn't hold him back. They built a resilience he needed to survive in a cutthroat business world. His early hardship didn't defeat him. It fueled a lifelong passion for learning. His incredible imagination literally shapes the metropolis of Tokyo. And perhaps most importantly, leaving his hometown didn't mean abandoning it. His rural experiences were the very foundation of his urban empire.
I want to leave you with this really powerful thought inspired by Keita Goto's journey. Where you are matters less than what you build. The next time you find yourself standing in a bustling city center or riding a train through a beautifully planned neighborhood, just remember that it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was imagined, planned, and built by someone. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Look at your own surroundings today. What can you build next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it sparked your curiosity, and I absolutely can't wait to dive into our next fascinating topic with you soon.